Hey everyone, Mom and Oz are here. Today we have another client interview with one of my favorite clients, Victor Lopez. Now, Victor came into the accelerator in his Master's of Computer Engineering at the University of Texas, Dallas. And Victor had never really done any software engineering internships before. He only had experience in computer engineering. So I'm so proud of what we did together. We were able to get Victor an incredible full-time software engineering job offer at JP Morgan, a name brand company, great company to work for. He's earning over $100,000 a year, so it's a six-figure job offer. You can hear it in his voice. He's super happy about his result and experience in the program. He actually mentions in this interview that without the accelerator, he would have never had that offer. Here's Victor Lopez. So Victor, let me ask you a couple of questions about where you were before the program. I believe you joined this summer sometime, but it's been a while from my memory. So tell me a bit about where you were before you joined the program.
Yeah, so before I joined the program, I was roughly about to start the last semester of my master's degree, which is the one I'm in. And it was about August when I got my consultation call with you. And then I joined, I think, September 1st.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah, so I mean, I just wasn't very prepared as far as I thought I was for software engineering in general. So I felt like, I don't know, I wasn't where I needed to be for like a full-time job yet for software engineering.
Mm-hmm. Got it. And tell me a bit about your background. So how many internships had you done? What was your, resume before the program?
Yeah, so before the program, internship wise, I had only been with Texas Instruments and I'd been with them for about a year. So I had one summer internship, which extended into the fall semester afterwards because the team needed me to stay on a bit more just due to my manager's manager having to leave. So like they were spread a bit thin. And then I went back for a second internship with them the following summer. I've had work experience in like working as a leasing agent and things like that. But it fell under like an internship with my apartment complex. So I had a couple of internships before applying to these jobs, but nothing software related. So most of my software experience came from having to do my own projects and kind of showing that I have that technical expertise from that.
That makes sense. Tell me, how did you feel about the world of software engineering just a couple of months ago? I know you were going for a full-time job, but tell me about how did you feel like emotionally about this entire process this summer?
I think it felt like a very insurmountable task because it was just such a transition from being an electrical engineer going to software engineering without like having, I guess it's an adjacent degree, but not having a computer science degree. So I know I was turned down from a lot of recruiters at my career fair that I attended just because I didn't have computer science as my degree. So it felt a little discouraging at times, but I think the program did help me out feel a lot more comfortable and showed me that, hey, I don't have to have this degree to find opportunities in software engineering. And I think the more I followed the structure of like the Pareto problem set, trying to grow incrementally, just like a small amount every single day, it really felt like it was adding up. And it felt like whenever I was going into these interviews or applying for jobs, I knew what I had to put on my resume as well as like what the types of questions were. And it like the technical interviews felt a lot more doable after just trying, like putting in a little bit of effort every day.
Absolutely. Yeah, that makes sense, man. And really glad to hear that. Tell me a little bit about what influenced your decision to join. So I know you hopped on that call with me, consultation call probably in August, like you said, but what made you actually pull the trigger? And did you have any hesitations about joining that you just decided to like go forward with?
I think the or not initial payment, but like the cost of the program was my biggest hesitation for this. But I ultimately thought about it as if this program is able to get me a software engineering job, the payment is like next to nothing essentially for it. So I think, yeah, I think that was my biggest hesitancy with the program, but I kind of just decided to put my faith in you because after seeing like all of your content, like see how you're trying to push people to actually grow, I felt comfortable with taking that slight risk on my end. Knowing that you would try your absolute best to help me land this job, especially with everything you've provided.
Absolutely. Yeah, that makes sense. Let's talk a bit about like your experience in the program. I know you still have a couple weeks left, so you're by no means completely done yet, but tell me
Yes.
about how you experienced the program. What did you like specifically about it, and how did you feel like it helped you when it comes to landing this job offer?
I think as for the program, I love that you made it interactive and you actually did assign homework because otherwise it feels like it's just a optional class I paid for. Um, in a sense, because like I'm still in college, so I guess it's similar ideology. Like I'm paying for this, I'm given like video recording slash like lectures, but I think the homework was the biggest turning point for me because I couldn't just look like watch the videos and then also like take notes on the PowerPoints that or not the PowerPoints, the PDFs you gave us. I also had to really like think about how I would apply it for myself.
Hmm.
And that individualization with the homework really helped out a lot. So I think it was really helpful, as well as some of the advice you gave me in the like before I went on my JP Morgan interview, like telling me, hey, look at these, like try to do some background research on the company, do these specific leak code problems from the leak code problem set that people have reported. Like this is what we see. I think that was some of the like bigger impact I felt because I ended up seeing a lot of the um, technical questions that were from that list, as well as some that I did on my like own research, like seeing, hey, what questions have they asked? So if I didn't receive that advice, I most likely wouldn't have received my offer, honestly.
Yeah, honestly, man, like it's really great for me to hear that because like it shows that this advice actually does work and it makes a real world impact in terms of these interviews. So let's talk about your offer, man. Like, of course, first of all, congratulations, JP Morgan, name brand company, incredible full time offer. Could you tell me a bit about that offer interview process and how you feel about that?
I think their interview process does feel a little bit intimidating at first because it's one day. They call it a super day. You have your technical interview for the first 50 minutes or your behavioral. I had my technical interview first. Um, and I feel like their technical interview is a little bit more laid back than other companies because they didn't necessarily ask me to full out solve the leak code problem, but more so just my thought process. Like, I think the question they gave me was, um, I had to do something with like a greedy algorithm. Essentially, I had to find the maximum sum and then return a portion of the array that had the largest total sum. And it had positive and negative values in the array. And then they didn't really want me to code it out. They just wanted me to, or they asked me like, what would be my thought process on solving this problem? Then I followed up with like, hey, I would use a sliding window just because I want to know like what portion of the array I want to return because that's what they were asking for. And then like as I'm expanding my window, I would increment or decrement based on if it's positive or negative value. And then they had another easier question followed up afterwards, which was like, how would I find the intersection between two lists or two arrays? And then they had some like general knowledge questions. So it felt a lot more, I wouldn't say easier, but the fact that I didn't have to do all of the coding in front of them for these problems made it a lot more tolerable for me.
Mhm.
So I felt like they were more so looking for people who were looking to grow as well as had some technical aptitude. And then like we got a 5 minute break afterwards, and it was a 50-minute behavioral interview following that. So yeah, but as far as the job, yeah, the compensation is great. 95K, 10K sign on, full health benefits. And yeah, I think I'm very grateful for landing this job offer.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's great. And that's great to hear. So where's the job offer located? Is it in Texas? Is it somewhere else? Where will you be working?
So the location is here in Plano, Texas. So like Dallas area. Um, and I attended one of their events before applying for the job, which is how I actually found about their like software engineering program for college graduates.
Mhm.
Um, and I visited the campus and I thought, wow, this seems like a great place to work. And I guess attending that event also did help a bit in probably their decision because it shows I was interested beforehand, like even before applying. Um, but yeah, I forgot where I was going with this. Oh yeah, it's located here in Texas, Dallas area, because that's where I'm studying. So that makes it a lot easier. I won't have to like release my apartment, like find a new place to live or move. But like other areas, I was comfortable that I listed on the application were like Houston and Austin because they have a couple offices there.
Hmm. Yeah, that makes sense, man. So going forward, I guess, have you accepted the offer? Are you still planning on interviewing, or is this going to be your offer you're going with? And then what's the plan going forward?
So this is the offer I'm going forward with because I think it overall fits what I'm looking for in a job. It looks like they're really trying to grow their employees rather than like keep their retention pretty high. And this program is kind of a way of them doing it, as well as like not keeping on having to hire people for externally, but give the people who they do hire the skills they need to succeed. So I'm planning on staying with them for a couple of years because that's how long their program lasts. They said after 1 year I could leave if I wanted to, but I think I'm planning on staying just because culturally it feels like a great fit for me. I know, or I have a couple of friends who work there already, so I can maybe expand my network, see who they know, interact with people there as well. And I think it's just a great place to start for my career. Afterwards, maybe I'll look into transitioning 2, 3 years down the line, maybe try to specialize in something more like back end or front end, maybe even cloud engineering, because I've looked into AWS. I've done some work in it, like some classwork. So I think just trying to figure out where I do want to specialize in afterwards, after those 2 years is where I'm kind of working towards now.
Awesome. Yeah, sounds good. Final question here, Victor, is what would you say to someone who was where you were a couple months ago, who wants to be where you are now with a name brand company, 6-figure job offer, who's on the fence about the program? And I guess in other words, would you say the program was worth it for the goal you were going for?
I think the program was absolutely worth it for the goal I was working towards. I think if I were talking to myself from 2 months ago, I would tell myself, yeah, the program is absolutely worth it. Because I think it gave me such a different perspective on how to go about applying for jobs. Because beforehand, all I knew was like, hey, cold apply. If I can get a referral, sure, that's nice. But I think joining the program showed me there's like a whole different aspect that I can put it into my control and like change the numbers so they're more favorable for me, as well as like it shifted my mindset to be more growth oriented than like destination oriented, I guess is what I would call it. So yeah, I think that's probably what I would tell myself. Like, yeah, definitely join the program. It's fully worth the money.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Victor, for the interview. That's super, super helpful. And hopefully people see this and they're like, hey, this program could be for me and help me get an offer like you did. So best of luck, Victor. I mean, I'm going to see you hopefully in at least one more call before the program is over, but best of luck, man, and super proud of your offer. And I want to say congratulations again. That's really, really exciting.
All right. Thank you, man. I really appreciate it. And thank you for having this interview with me.
Absolutely. All right. I'll talk to you later, man. Have a good one.
All right. You too.